Why is your account always at zero, even though you make $90,000 a year? I sit in traffic on Interstate 405 every morning. I look at the steering wheel of my financed car. I think about the Amazon boxes piling up on my porch. I am tired. My back hurts, and my bank account is completely empty. I guarantee this exact thought crossed your mind this week. You look at your paycheck, you look at your credit card bill, and the math just refuses to work. Meet David. David is 34 years old. He works in software sales, lives in the suburbs, and has a beautiful 2-car garage. But David parks his truck in the driveway. Why? Because his garage is completely full of plastic bins, old golf clubs, and holiday decorations. David bought a house to store things he does not even remember buying. He thinks he owns his belongings. The truth is entirely different. His belongings own him. Let us look at David's new flat-screen television. He bought it on sale for $800 at Target. He thought it was a fantastic deal. But David makes roughly $30 an hour after taxes. He did not pay $800 for that television. He paid 26 hours of his life, 26 hours of sitting in boring Zoom meetings, 26 hours of dealing with a boss he secretly hates, 26 hours of missing dinner with his family. He traded real life for a screen he falls asleep in front of because he is too exhausted from working. If that number just gave you a punch in the stomach, subscribe to this channel right now. Here we do not talk about miracle investments. We talk about stopping the fraud you commit against yourself every single day. Let us talk about the real villains in this story. It is not just it is the friendly guy at the dealership who convinced David to finance a new truck. It is the algorithm on his phone that knows exactly when he is tired and vulnerable on a Friday night. It is the storage unit industry. Did you know there are more storage facilities in the United States than McDonald's and Starbucks combined? We literally pay monthly rent to house our junk. This brings us to the Sam Vimes boots theory, but applied to the modern American middle class. When you are broke, you buy cheap things. You buy a $50 pair of shoes that falls apart in 6 months. So you buy another pair, and another. Over 5 years, you spent $500 on terrible shoes. The rich guy bought a $300 pair that lasts 10 years. Being poor is incredibly expensive, but there is also the poverty premium. Because David is stretched thin, he puts that cheap television on a credit card. He pays 24% interest. The bank does not care about his entertainment. The bank cares about keeping him on the minimum payment treadmill. That $800 television ends up costing him $1,200, which means he did not trade 26 hours of his life. He traded 40 hours, an entire work week, entirely gone, just to stare at a black plastic rectangle. This is what I call the maintenance fraud. We are sold the absolute lie that buying things brings freedom, but every object you bring into your house requires your energy. It needs to be cleaned. It needs to be insured. It needs to be repaired. It needs to be moved. Look at the homeowners association fees in your neighborhood. You pay $300 a month so a committee of neighbors can tell you what color to paint your own front door. You buy a bigger house just to hold your stuff. A bigger house means higher property taxes, higher heating bills in the winter, higher cooling bills in the summer. You are working overtime just to air condition your old college textbooks sitting in the attic. If you are getting angry at this calculation, leave your like right now. Anger is the very first step toward efficiency. Let us look closely at a regular Saturday in David's life. Saturday is supposed to be his day of rest. He wakes up exhausted, but he cannot rest. He has to wash the truck. He has to mow the lawn with the expensive riding mower he financed at Home Depot. He has to fix the leaky pipe in the guest bathroom that nobody ever uses. He has to drive to the hardware store to buy more plastic bins to organize the clutter in his basement. He spends his entire weekend servicing his possessions. He is an unpaid janitor for his own stuff. And Monday morning, the cycle starts again. He gets back on the highway. He drinks mediocre coffee from a drive-thru. He swipes his card to pay for it. More hours of his life traded for a temporary fix. We call this the convenience tax. You buy convenient things because your job drains all your time. You buy takeout because you are too tired to cook real food. You hire someone to clean your house because you are too busy working to pay for the house. You are trapped in a loop. And Wall Street loves it when you are in this loop. Every time you swipe that debit card, someone in a glass office makes a fraction of a cent. Multiply that by 300 million Americans. They are getting ridiculously rich off your daily exhaustion. Let us talk about the mathematics of physical space. Look around your living room right now. Look at your bedroom. Houses in the United States cost an average of $200 per square foot. Now look at that plastic bin full of computer cables from 2010. That bin takes up 4 square feet. You are paying $800 of mortgage space just to house obsolete electronics. You are literally paying rent for a pile of garbage. Your bank manager will never point this out to you. He is too busy trying to get you to refinance your home to build a shed in the backyard. More debt, more space, more stuff. It is a brilliant business model for them. It is a total financial disaster for you. Let us talk about Christine. Christine is a nurse. She makes good money, about $85,000 a year. But she has student loans. She pays $600 a month just to service the debt of her own education. Then she scrolls through Instagram during her 15-minute break at the hospital. She sees an ad for an expensive skincare routine. Marketing tells her she deserves it because she works hard. Treat yourself, the influencers say. That is the biggest lie in retail history. Treating yourself usually just means punishing your future self. She buys the cream for $100. That is 3 hours of dealing with difficult patients and standing on her feet. She trades her physical pain for a glass jar she will use twice and forget in a bathroom drawer. This is the reality of modern consumerism. It is not just about the money leaving your bank account. It is about your life energy bleeding out through 1,000 tiny cuts. We are convinced that having more things increases our status. You want the nice car to show the neighbors you are doing well. But the neighbors do not care about you at all. They are too busy worrying about their own car payments. You are buying things you do not need, with money you do not have, to impress people you do not even like. This is the rule of the invisible 20%. At least 20% of your income vanishes into thin air to maintain a lifestyle you do not even enjoy. Subscriptions you forgot to cancel. Late fees on the credit card because the billing date changed. The premium gas your car suddenly requires. The extra data plan for your tablet. It is an endless stream of microtransactions, and every single one of them adds days to the years you have to work before you can retire. Think about your 401k retirement account. You put money in, hoping one day you will finally be free. But every impulse purchase delays that freedom. Every piece of junk in your garage represents a day you cannot retire. I walk through the massive aisles of Costco on a Sunday afternoon. I buy paper towels in bulk because my brain thinks I am saving money. I buy a giant jar of mayonnaise that I will never finish before it expires. I push a heavy cart through a crowded parking lot. I load the trunk, drive home, and spend an hour figuring out where to put all this stuff. I tell myself I am being a smart consumer, but I just spent $300 on things I did not need today. I gave up my Sunday afternoon to do inventory management for my own pantry. This is what the modern lifestyle does to us. It turns us into warehouse managers for our own lives. You are not a homeowner. You are an unpaid logistics coordinator. I want you to imagine a completely different scenario. Imagine opening your closet and only seeing clothes you actually wear. Imagine your garage actually having empty space. Imagine checking your bank account on a Tuesday and seeing a balance that actually makes you smile. That is not a fairy tale. That is what happens when you stop buying your own stress. Today, I want you to do something uncomfortable. Take your bank statement from last month. Calculate exactly how much of your salary is left after you pay for the basic right to work. I mean your commute, your car payment, the professional clothes, the takeout lunches. Look at what is actually left over. The result is going to scare you. If this video opened your eyes, send it to that colleague who is always exhausted. Let us get off this hamster wheel together. Write "I understand the game" in the comments to signal to the algorithm that you have awakened. Why is your checking account always gasping for air 2 days before payday, even though you make good money? You got that promotion last year. You finally broke the 6-figure mark, but you still feel completely broke. Let us talk about exactly why that happens. Meet Sarah. Sarah makes $95,000 a year as a project manager in Seattle. On paper, she is winning the game. But let us take a clinical look inside her 3-bedroom suburban house. One entire room is completely filled with cardboard boxes from Amazon. Her garage is so packed with seasonal decorations and an unused Peloton bike that she has to park her actual car out in the driveway. Sarah deeply believes she owns these things, but the reality is entirely different. These things own Sarah. Welcome to what I call the fraud of the extra bedroom. The real estate agent told her she absolutely needed a guest room. The targeted ads told her she needed a private home gym. So she bought a bigger house. She took on a massive 30-year mortgage. Let us do the brutal math on that decision. Sarah pays $2,500 a month for that house. That extra bedroom takes up 20% of the total square footage. That means she is paying $500 every single month just to store junk she never uses. That is $6,000 a year of pure waste. Sarah takes home about $30 an hour after the government takes its cut. She is working 200 hours a year just to pay for that specific room. That is 5 entire weeks of sitting in terrible corporate meetings. 5 weeks of answering passive-aggressive emails from a manager she despises, all just to pay the rent for her old winter coats and a broken printer. If that number just punched you in the stomach, subscribe right now. Here we do not talk about miracle crypto investments. We talk about stopping the financial fraud you are committing against yourself every single day. Now look at how she is forced to buy things. Sarah buys cheap shoes for work at a discount store because her cash flow is tight. They cost $50, but they completely fall apart in 4 months, so she has to go back and buy another pair. Over 2 years, she spends $300 on cheap shoes that actively hurt her feet. Her boss, who has actual capital, buys a high-quality pair of shoes for $200. Those shoes last for 5 solid years. Sarah spends more money to be in physical pain because she is trapped in a cash flow crisis. This is the classic poverty premium at work. It is incredibly expensive to not have extra cash. You pay more for everything. You pay the late fees, you pay the overdraft fees, you pay the convenience tax at the corner store because you are simply too tired to drive to the large supermarket. I know exactly how she feels. I feel it when I sit in bumper-to-bumper traffic on Interstate 405. I feel the heavy plastic of the corporate badge hanging around my neck like a collar. I clock out at 5, but my brain is completely fried. I am so exhausted that I pull into the drive-thru. I tap my phone to pay $20 for a mediocre burger just to feel a tiny rush of dopamine. I tell myself I deserve it. I worked hard today, but that $20 was another 45 minutes of my life gone forever. I just traded my irreplaceable time for a paper bag of grease. Then there is her bank manager, Mark. Mark is a very nice guy in a tailored suit. Mark smiles warmly and offers her a personal line of credit to consolidate her credit cards. He tells her it will lower her monthly payments and give her breathing room. But Mark is not her friend. Mark just reset the clock on her financial bleeding. He stretched her pain out for another 7 years. He made sure the bank will extract 3 times the original amount in compound interest. Mark sold her a financial straitjacket and convinced her it was a life preserver. If you got mad at this math, leave a like right now. Anger is the very first step toward financial efficiency. You need to be angry at what they are quietly taking from you. Let us talk about the storage unit industry. It is a $40 billion business in the United States alone. Millions of Americans pay $150 a month to keep a locked metal box full of old furniture. Why do they do it? Because they cannot let go of the idea of past value. They think that ugly sofa is still worth $500, so they pay $1,800 a year to store it in the dark. This is the rule of invisible maintenance. Every single physical object you buy comes with a heavy shadow cost. You have to clean it. You have to store it. You have to insure it against theft. You have to pack it and move it when you change apartments. Your belongings are silently draining your most precious resource. They are draining your mental bandwidth. The marketing machine is perfectly designed to make you feel incomplete. You open Instagram and see an influencer with a flawlessly organized kitchen pantry. Suddenly you feel an intense urge to buy 50 clear plastic containers. You spend $200 at Target on an ordinary Tuesday evening. You honestly think you are buying organization and peace of mind. You are actually just buying more clutter. You are buying more fragile things to wash and manage. You are working until 7 at night to pay the credit card bill for those empty plastic containers. Look at the car sitting in the driveway. It is a beautiful, shiny sports utility vehicle. The car salesman told her it was the absolute safest option for a future family. She signed a 7-year loan at 8% interest. She pays $700 a month for the metal, plus $200 for the mandatory insurance, plus $300 for gas and maintenance. She works 1 entire week out of every single month just to pay for the machine that takes her to the job she hates. It is a perfect, inescapable closed loop. You work to buy the car. You desperately need the car to get to work. You are paying a massive premium just to participate in the daily grind. This is what I call the commuter fraud. Do you remember David? David bought a speedboat. He dreamed of taking his friends out on the lake every single weekend. But David worked 60 hours a week trying to pay for his lifestyle. He took the boat out exactly twice last summer. He spends $300 a month on marina docking fees. He spends another $200 on winterizing and maintenance. The boat is no longer a vehicle for joy or relaxation. The boat is a massive floating invoice. Every time David looks at it sitting in the water, he feels deep guilt. He feels the crushing weight of the money he is literally burning. His own belongings are holding him hostage. Let us talk about your closet. You currently have 60 shirts hanging there. You wear the exact same 5 shirts every single week. Why did you buy the other 55? Because an algorithm accurately tracked your browser history. It showed you a flash sale at exactly 4 in the afternoon on a Thursday. That is the exact psychological moment your willpower is at its lowest. You were incredibly stressed about a project deadline. You clicked buy to feel a temporary, fleeting sense of control. Fast fashion is not actually cheap. It is a highly engineered extraction method designed by billionaires. You buy a shirt for $15. It aggressively shrinks in the wash after just 2 weeks. It becomes a useless rag. But you keep it folded in the drawer because throwing it away feels like admitting defeat. You are letting corporations rent space inside your bedroom for absolutely free. This is exactly why you feel suffocated in your own home. You are carrying a massive inventory of physical junk. Every item sitting on your shelf is a past emotional decision that you are still actively paying for. You bought a bread maker you used exactly once. You bought an expensive guitar you never bothered to learn to play. You bought a closet full of clothes for a fantasy version of yourself that does not exist. And now you have to continually dust them. You have to trip over them in the dark. You have to feel bad about them every time you look at your bank balance. You tell yourself you will finally sell it all on Facebook Marketplace next weekend. But you never do. Because taking the photos takes too much energy. Dealing with strangers haggling over $10 is totally exhausting. So the junk stays in the house. The debt stays on the credit card. The stress stays in your chest. You are running a free warehouse for corporations who already took your money years ago. It is time to brutally break this cycle today. Today, I want you to do a physical inventory of your mistakes. Walk into the room where you keep all your unused stuff. Look at the piles of boxes. Calculate exactly how much square footage that junk is occupying. Multiply that number by your monthly rent or mortgage cost per square foot. Write down the actual dollar amount you are paying every month just to warehouse your regrets. The final result will completely shock you. You will quickly realize you are paying a luxury price to live in a prison of cardboard. If this video made you rethink everything sitting in your house, send it to that friend who is currently drowning in clutter. Let us walk away from this madness together. Write "I am the architect" in the comments to signal that you have taken back control. Imagine you are driving home on Interstate 405. Traffic is at a dead stop once again. You are exhausted from a 9-hour shift. Suddenly you hear a sharp ding from your dashboard. The check engine light turns bright yellow. Your stomach instantly drops to the floor. You are not worried about the actual engine block. You are worried about the mechanic looking at you and saying it will cost $1,200. You quickly check your banking app at a red light. You only have $300 in checking until next Friday. That right there is the financial crisis we normalize every single day. Let us look at David. David is 34 years old. He works as a mid-level IT manager. He makes $85,000 a year. Society tells David he is doing fantastic. His friendly bank manager just approved him for a brand new SUV. It is a beautiful piece of machinery with a 72-month loan attached to it. The monthly payment is exactly $800. David thinks he can afford it because it technically fits into his monthly spreadsheet. But let us do the brutal math they hide from you inside the dealership office. David takes home about $5,000 a month after taxes, retirement contributions, and health insurance. That means he practically earns roughly $31 an hour in liquid cash. To pay just the base car note, David has to work 25 hours every single month. That is 3 full days of sitting in meaningless Zoom calls, 3 entire days of dealing with a boss he barely tolerates just to pay for the metal box that gets him to the office. But the math gets so much worse. We have to add gasoline, maintenance, and the silent killer called depreciation. When you add the $400 for comprehensive insurance and fuel, David is paying $1,200 a month. He is trading 38 hours of his actual life every month just to operate a vehicle. Almost an entire work week is completely gone before he even buys groceries. If that number just gave you a punch in the stomach, hit subscribe right now. Here, we do not talk about miracle investment formulas. We talk about stopping the financial fraud you are committing against your own future. They sold David the American dream of ownership. But David does not own that car at all. The car owns a massive piece of David's life. This is what I call the illusion of the asset. You think you bought a shiny status symbol to show the neighbors. In reality, you adopted a very expensive financial dependent. It demands expensive synthetic oil changes. It demands premium brake pads. It demands state registration fees that magically go up every single year. The marketing agencies convinced David he needed off-road capabilities to commute to a suburban office park. They manufactured a fake lifestyle need to extract real capital from his checking account. If you are getting angry at this calculation, leave a like on this video. Anger is the very first step toward financial efficiency. Now let us talk about the poverty premium operating in David's life. Because David did not have a large cash down payment, his auto loan interest rate is 9%. Over 6 years, he will pay thousands of extra dollars just for the privilege of borrowing the bank's money. Meanwhile, the wealthy guy pays in full or finances at a promotional 1% rate. The system is literally designed to penalize David for not having liquid capital. It is the exact same concept as the theory of the cheap boots. If you are broke, you buy $40 boots that wear out in 6 months. You end up buying 10 pairs of cheap boots over 5 years and spend $400. The rich man buys 1 pair of $200 boots that last a decade. David is paying a massive premium just to participate in the middle-class illusion. He pays significantly more for the exact same lifestyle because he has to finance his entire existence. I have been exactly in David's shoes. I remember sitting at my desk under those awful fluorescent office lights. I stared at my monitor, calculating my true hourly wage after taxes. I felt the heavy plastic of my company badge pulling down on my neck. I realized I was spending 40 hours a week just to maintain a lifestyle I was too tired to actually enjoy. I was paying a massive mortgage for a house I left at 7 in the morning and returned to at 6 at night. I was paying for a premium fiber internet package I only used to answer late-night work emails. I felt like a background extra in a movie directed by the credit card companies. Let us move past the driveway and look inside David's house. We need to discuss the convenience tax. This is the money that quietly disappears from your account while you are completely distracted. David orders food delivery 3 times a week because his commute leaves him entirely drained. A $20 burger suddenly becomes $38 after service fees, delivery charges, and mandatory tips. He is paying an $18 penalty simply because his job took all his energy that day. That is over half an hour of his life traded away for lukewarm fries. Then we have to look at the automatic subscriptions. The 3 different streaming services, the expensive gym membership he never uses because he is stuck in traffic on the interstate, the cloud storage fee because his phone is full of photos of things he bought but never actually looked at again. The corporate banks call this reliable recurring revenue. I call it the invisible leak in your financial boat. Each individual fee looks tiny on the screen. $12 here, $15 there. Your tired brain categorizes them as entirely harmless. But add them all up over 12 brutal months. David is bleeding over $4,000 a year in automatic renewals and late-night convenience charges. That is roughly 130 hours of his actual life. 3 full weeks of waking up early and sitting in traffic just to pay for things he forgot he even signed up for. The guy at the local bank branch smiled when he offered David a line of credit to consolidate his credit card debt. He wore a nice suit and called it a customized financial solution. He offered David a much lower monthly payment to ease his stress. But he quietly extended the term of the loan by 5 entire years. He did not solve David's core problem at all. He just stretched the pain out so the bank could harvest far more interest over a longer period of time. They want you just comfortable enough to keep making the minimum payments. They never want you free enough to quit the game entirely. They actively target your mental exhaustion. Target and Walmart literally design their store aisles to catch you when your willpower is completely depleted after a long shift. You walk in just to buy a pack of paper towels. You leave with $200 worth of plastic storage bins, scented candles, and decorative pillows. You buy these random items hoping they will bring a temporary hit of dopamine to a very stressful week. But that artificial dopamine fades completely by the time you reach the parking lot. The credit card statement, however, stays on your desk for months. Let us look closely at David's biggest point of pride, his suburban house. He confidently considers it his greatest financial investment. But right now, it operates exactly like a giant, hungry mouth. Property taxes increase simply because the city needs more money to pave the roads David uses to drive to work. The Homeowners Association raises their monthly fees just to plant new seasonal flowers by the neighborhood entrance sign. The asphalt roof inevitably needs replacing. The old water heater fails completely right before the Thanksgiving holiday. David is pouring all his liquid cash directly into drywall, copper pipes, and asphalt shingles. He is completely house-rich, but desperately cash-poor. He has $80,000 in home equity that he cannot even touch without taking out another loan and paying the bank all over again. This is what I call the illiquidity trap. You are forced to borrow your own hard-earned money back from the bank at a premium interest rate. You need to stop right now and look around your own life. How many hours of your finite time on this earth are tied up in the depreciating metal sitting in your driveway? How many real hours of labor are locked inside the spare bedroom full of Amazon boxes? We are consistently trading the absolute most precious asset we have, which is our time, for heavy liabilities that lose value the second we swipe our plastic cards. I have a very practical assignment for you to complete today. Log into your primary bank account tonight after dinner. Pull up the last 90 days of your checking and credit card statements. Highlight every single charge that happened automatically without your active permission. Highlight every single food delivery order you placed just because you were too physically tired from working. Add that specific dollar amount up. Divide that total number by your true hourly wage. Look closely at exactly how many days you worked entirely for free just to sustain your own physical exhaustion. The final number staring back at you from that calculator is going to absolutely shock you. If this video just opened your eyes to the harsh reality of your monthly bills, send it directly to a colleague who looks completely burned out. We need to step out of this financial hamster wheel together. Comment "margin of safety" to signal that you have officially awakened to the math today.